Hey guys, I'm trying something new, as you've no doubt hearing, in the form of a short video / audio file / podcast sort of venture where I'll just rant for a couple of minutes about anything that may come to my mind. Though I will do my best to keep it neutral when it comes to stuff like religion or politics. We're here to have fun, and in declaring as much, I encourage you to all take active part in this and leave me feedback to bounce off from as well. As far as this section goes, I'd like to offer daily rants, or as close to daily as I can manage without these rants messing up my personal time. Basically just about anything I've been playing, or gaming news, or anything that might have happened, or what have you. So basically what you're used to seeing in a vlog, just without the video aspect to it. All of these entries will be available on Tumblr, which I will also link in the description below, should you want to read these for whatever reason, as I'm taking the time to write a script down. Kind of a fourth wall breaking, isn't it? Anyway, the idea is to keep these decidedly short, but fun to listen to. That way you can add more quantity, faster, and I retain the quality by keeping each entry short and concise. So let's dive right in. I'm writing my very first top 10 for a video game, and from my YouTube channel. And it's a somewhat exciting feeling. I'm not sure how it'll be received, whether with indifference, lukewarm reception, or resounding success. But whatever happens, I keep telling myself that I'm doing it for myself first and foremost, and then for my friends, and then just for fun. So if other people stand up and take notice and enjoy it, then more power to them. But for the moment, this is all about personal pleasure, and it's actually somewhat of a writing exercise for me, just to get me back into the swing of things. The top 10 itself is about Stormblood, Final Fantasy XIV's newest expansion. I thought it'd be neat to grade the instance content and present it to an audience accordingly, although I'm still on the fence whether or not I should update it, the list itself, with each new patch that drops, or offer a revised list once there have been substantial changes. I guess we'll just see what happens. Moving on, I encountered a bug in Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy's port on PS4, as a digital download that kind of, got me a little miffed. There's evidently a bug in this version, and I'm not sure if this can also happen in the PS3 remaster or the original PS2 version, where once you enter the final area of the game, Golan Maya's Citadel, a cutscene will play out. If you immediately save and quit here, for whatever reason, the game will start you right at the end of the level, apparently thinking that you completed it, should you load back into the game. That's not where you can get damned, mind you. But going ahead and freeing the Green Sage, who is the final sage that you're supposed to free out of the 4 sages that you're presented with at the start of this level, will make the game go ahead and assume you've already freed the other 3. This is fine under normal circumstances where you don't care about completing the game 100%, as the gateway to the final boss just opens right up and you can go beat the game. But if you backtrack to the other stages and try to free the sages, there's a tongue twister for you, the game will crash and your save file will become corrupt. Like the game will stop working and the PS4 will say, this game encountered an error and needs to close. Once it closes, it sends the error report to Sony, and then when you load back in, you get a prompt saying, this is corrupt, and we're going to start you back at the last save that wasn't corrupted. Which, just happens to be right before all this sage shit, but after you've freed the first sage. I know it's a bit confusing, but listen, I understand myself. I did some digging, and I went over Google. I found a quick, crude kind of fix to it, where you need to basically save and quit the game the second you collect the precursor orb from those sages, and the PS2 memory card autosave icon disappears. And if you did it right, once you reload back in, then the game will checkpoint from there. It was time consuming, but hey, at least I saved the platinum trophy I was working towards. One hell of a bug, let me tell you. Instead of making any form of progress in the new Pokemon Ultra Moon, I've pretty much been exclusively Wonder Trading. It's just really fun to do and feeds into that urge of just one more trade to see what I end up getting. For those of you who aren't aware, Wonder Trading is when you trade a Pokemon you caught with a random person over the internet. I suppose you could have fixed the feeling to the same addiction problem as drugs, alcohol, or gambling, but it's harmless in that all it ultimately consumes is my free time instead of my wallet, vanity, and free will. 67 hours of my free time, in fact. The last time I checked, and I haven't even gotten to the first trial on the very first island yet. I do have to say, though, that this is largely in part because the introduction to the second game is practically word for word and event for event exactly the same thing as in the first title. Although what I assume is going to happen is it looks to be like time travelers or dimension hoppers or they're going to pop up and diverge the timeline somehow in some way. It should make for an interesting reboot of the generation of Pokemon. But for now, I am more than content to simply want to trade my days away while advancing quite slowly. Speaking of slowly advancing, I'm the ultimate grinder when it comes to these types of games. For every individual bush or cave or something not connected to another Pokemon encounter spawning system, I forced myself to grind 5 encounters in that area alone before advancing towards the next isolated encounter / kind of like bush cluster, depending on if we're in the wild or not. It's kind of odd, I know. Don't judge me. At the very least, I don't need to grind out my Pokemon levels in the last quarter of the game when the difficulty typically skyrockets, like the Elite Four and the last couple of gym leaders are usually kind of shitty. All this to say that I wonder traded yesterday, and I managed to land a Tapu Koko, which is a legendary Pokemon from Sun and Moon proper. So I was pretty freaking stoked to get that. I did a double take. I mean, I guess we'll see how Ultra S&M plays out, and yeah, I did that on purpose. Ha ha ha. But for now, I'm largely put off by the recycled content of the introduction. I remember actually double checking the Steel Case Collector's Edition I ordered from Amazon, shameless plug. Just checking to make sure it wasn't actually the very first Sun and Moon. I mean, the case itself is nice, but the game's really got to work on that recycled content, man.